Hey all, here at OS Reviews. Today we're taking just a quick look at the Shargeek Retro 35. This is a charger which has 35 watts using USB Type-C, which in itself isn't anything special, but it's just the way that it's designed that makes it stand out a bit, as it is inspired by a retro Mac in terms of the form factor. It makes it incredibly cute, I have to admit, especially if you are a tech enthusiast and enjoy retro gadgets. So anyways, as far as this charger is concerned, you can currently find it on Indiegogo. It's on sale for around 25 bucks a pop, so not too bad. Otherwise, it does have a foldable prong, which means that it is pretty compact. When you are done with it, you can then unplug it and take it with you when on the go. So those are the indication lights. Yellow stands for normal charging, and green is the supercharging, just to indicate some of the rates that it is charging at. Again, you can use it for tablets and phones alike. You can also trickle charge laptops, but 35 watts, it may not be always sufficient to charge up every single computer, but again, it is still pretty powerful considering the tiny size. One other unique selling point is they claim you can create DIY stickers when you are purchasing one of these, so you can create and pick between different patterns. Underneath here, there's just a quick user guide. Print out an image onto your own transparent sticker, and again, use that onto the display to further customize it. They give you a few pre-applied decals as well, which are really in the Macintosh style, that hello, classic Macintosh smiley face, and a few other icons. Think different. A pretty interesting idea. And here's the charger itself. So it really does have pretty good attention to detail, has a nice density to it, doesn't feel really cheap or hollow, and has kind of that same weathered or slightly yellowing color of older Macintosh devices. We have just a floppy disk, imitative slot there, power key. None of these accents are functional, of course, but then there's just that transparent window where you can attach some of those stickers optionally. Now, otherwise, the top here just features the 35 watt USB Type-C port and some power ratings on the back, along with the prongs that you can then fold out. And here's just a quick size comparison with something like a standard US quarter. So this thing is actually pretty compact. It's not that much larger than an older iPhone charger from back in the day, one of those cubes. Now, what has to be said, though, is, again, at 35 watts, it is quite good, but it still isn't going to be, say, the fastest charger in the world. Some phones these days, at the cutting-edge side of things, have started to adopt even 50 watt or 100 watt charging, so obviously you can get even more powerful specs. But for the typical smartphone, 35 watts is still more than plentiful. But now let's go ahead and plug it into something like a smartphone. And once again, the charging here will start. It says it's fast charging. Most typical phones will get fully charged in around an hour or two when you plug it in. The entire thing actually is still pretty cool in terms of temperature, even at some of the faster charging rates. So no issues here in terms of overheating. The LED display does make for a pretty neat touch, and it is visible, especially in darker spaces. And let's try out some of the included stickers. So if I wanted to, I can also, as aforementioned, just cover that up using any of the other decals which are included, and just adds a little bit more of a personalized touch. Darker colored stickers might make the LED light a little more opaque and harder to make out. So for the best effect, you would probably want to still stick with one of the more transparent effects. And here's an example of one which has now activated the blue light because it's charging at a slightly faster rate before. Sometimes it will go back into the regular charging rate if the battery reaches a certain percentage to improve the longevity of your device's battery. And here's the super fast charging mode using the green light, which is up to the entire 35 watts. In these cases, again, your phone has to be at a pretty low battery percentage, and it will try and use up everything when charging if it's a supported device. Or if you are charging, let's say, a laptop, it will kind of go out at the maximum output. But again, for laptops, sometimes 35 watts won't be sufficient, but if you close the lid of your computer, it will at least still charge, and it can definitely still act in those cases as a charger for things like MacBooks and thinner ultra portables. And then just as a reference in terms of scale, here it is next to something like a full-size actual iMac, a more modern one, so you get the idea there. Alright, so that's more or less it as far as our quick hands-on review of this Shargeek Retro 35, this mini 35 watt GaN powered charger, which by itself is nothing special. It does offer relatively high wattage for a small compact form factor, but what really sets it apart is all about this design of the shell, its homage to the classic Macs, as well as the interesting LED colors. So you can check out more details if you're interested. The link's down below, but for now that's been our video. Still is a pretty simple product at the end of the day, but again, more about the design than anything else. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That's been the Shargeek Retro 35.